First up, we're going to be embellishing some plain black pot holders with some iron-on vinyl to make these really cute kitchen decor items for Halloween. So to get started, I chose some solid black pot holders that I picked up at the Dollar Tree for $1.25 each. Super simple, and I think they have these all year round, so you can play around with this and do different things for different holidays. Next, I'm going to measure the space that I have to work in. I like to have a general idea so I know when I'm working in Cricut Design Space how big or how small to make the design. So it looks like if I stay within about 4.5 to 5 inches square or smaller, it's going to be pretty easy for me to center it right here. All right, so we're going to be using the Cricut Joy, which is great for these smaller projects. Now, this is the mat that comes with it. I just wanted to give you all a heads up that there are some longer mats if you are going to be making longer or slightly bigger cutouts from your vinyl. Those are great to use too. This is just going to be real simple, the word boo with the exclamation point, so I'm using the mat that came with it. So this is my Cricut Joy. I love that it's super small and compact, so this is also a great scrap busting project. So I have a little plastic baggie here where I put all my leftover scraps from different HTV and iron-on projects. I was looking for orange, so I found a good piece there. Let me go ahead and stuff the rest of this back in here since I was looking for white also, but I didn't have a piece. This orange chunk is going to work great. Now we open up the Cricut Design Space app. I'm going to hit the plus button at the bottom since this is a new project. Then tap on Upload and Browse Files. And I'm bringing in a file that I already created. It's an SVG file with these 4 different images here. I got to name it. And I'll have a link in the description box below where you all can go to download this file that I made for you. It's a free download, a free SVG download. I just want the word boo. So I'm going to delete the rest. So select it, and then I ungroup so it can separate all 4 of the different items. Then I'm going to select the 3 that I won't be using and just send them to the trash can by clicking the delete button. All right, we're going to cut out the word boo here out of some orange HTV or iron-on vinyl. Now I'm just pinching the screen to bring up the dimensions a little bit easier to see, and it's about 2.5 inches tall by about 5 inches long, which will fit in our space on the pot holder perfectly. Next, you absolutely want to make sure to hit attach. That little button that I just tapped down there, you have to do that, okay, so that it holds the letters, the spacing, and everything exactly as you want it. Hit make it, then save your project. You want to go ahead and name it, and I'm going to save mine to the cloud. Before it takes us to the next screen, which is selecting the mat, I'm using the default one, which is 4.5 by 6.5 inch mat, and everything looks good, except we're using iron-on vinyl. So hit where it says mirror off to bring up this screen where you'll see that we need to toggle on the mirror option. It needs to be toggled on, okay? It says for iron-on, and we're using iron-on, so make sure that that is on. Otherwise, your project will be backwards. All right, click Next. Then you plug in your Cricut Joy, connect it via Bluetooth. It'll pop up here so you can select it. And now your app is communicating with the actual Cricut Joy. Remember that the Cricut Joy doesn't have any buttons on the machine. So the only way to use it is via the app, all right? Now we're on this screen. We're ready to move on. We need to select our materials, tap All Materials. And in the search box up top, I like to type in iron-on just so it can pull it up. I select iron-on because that's the material I'm using. I leave the pressure setting to the default, and then you'll see where it says mirror, it is green. So that's toggled on, which is good. We definitely want to make sure of that before we cut, okay? Now we need to, on step 2, load the tools in the mat. I use my machine all the time, so it already has the blade in it, but I do need to load the material onto the mat. So let's pull off the protective sheet from our sticky standard grip mat here, and your iron-on vinyl goes shiny side face down. Put it, so that it covers the area that your machine is going to be cutting, and then use a little scraper tool to smooth it all out so we have no air bubbles. Very important. Now I'm just going to slide the top edge in, and you'll see that it will sense it, and the little wheels will roll. It will pull your mat in, and that means, okay, the Cricut Joy is ready to cut. So now on the app, I double check everything looks good, and we're on to step 3. It says press go. So you press go from your app, and the machine will prepare everything, and then it will start cutting. Once it stops cutting, just tap OK on the app and the machine will release the mat. You can pull it out and set it aside. Now I'm going to preheat here my HTV Runt Mini 3 heat press. Super cute little thing, and it works perfectly for small projects. All you got to do is tap the power button, the screen will come on. It has a display screen. Tap the gear icon, and then I can adjust the temperature to what I want to set it to with the plus or minus buttons. Now, this iron-on vinyl calls for 305 degrees for 20 seconds. So I set it to 305, and then I just press the button again to set the time settings. And you can see that now that gear icon is blinking red. You can set it aside to let that come up to temperature. I'm going to grab my weeding tools here, and then we need to remove the excess from the design. Okay, so we're only left with the design. But first, because I have a little bit here that's extra, I'm going to take my rotary cutter and cut off this excess scrap piece so that I can throw it in my little scrap bag, because this is big enough for some small little cutouts. Okay. Next, I'm going to pinch in a corner and remove the excess. So anything of the iron-on vinyl that's around the word boo and the exclamation point needs to get pulled up. I know the lines are probably really hard for y'all to see on camera, but when you have this in front of you, you can kind of turn the mat a little bit with the light and see where the lines are, the cut lines are, so you know where to pluck out the inside little bubbles of the B, and obviously there's going to be one inside of each of the O's. And that's just a tip that I have. I like to weed while it's still on the mat so everything is nice and flat, and then I peel off the design. But you can do it any way you want to. Return that protective sheet onto the mat so you don't start collecting lint while it's on your table. Grab a little ironing board, grab your pot holder, and then we're going to flip this and position it with the sticky side of the clear part of the sheet of the design down. Okay, it's repositionable, so you can kind of put it, stand it up, look at it, adjust it as necessary, and when you're ready and your little mini heat press is up to temperature, go ahead and press the power button for a couple seconds. That will start the countdown timer so that you just can keep pressing and applying some medium pressure all the way around the entire design until you hear it beep. That tells you that your 20 seconds are up. And then this vinyl peels warm. So I can just peel that carrier sheet right off, and that's it. The design is done. I think it looks super cute, and I hope y'all enjoyed that tutorial. But we're not done. Let's make another one with the little ghost. So again, with my Dollar Tree pot holder, the same solid black, let's go ahead and pull up the app. I'm going to start it again from the beginning, just as a recap for those of you that are kind of learning to pull in designs and use your Cricut Joy maybe. So this is the repeat of what we did before. You bring in the SVG file. Remember, there's a link in the description on where you can get it. And now, instead of using the other designs, I want the ghost one. So I'm going to ungroup, and then select the whole thing first, then hit ungroup. And then you can select the ones and send them to the trash can, delete that you don't want. So we're just keeping the ghost on this one. And so I'm going to go to edit just to look at the measurements of the ghost here. And I think if it cuts it lengthwise on my cutting mat, those dimensions will work. It's about 5 1/4 by 4 1/4. That's going to be just perfect. So let's tap make it. And the more you use your app, the more you will get used to like all the pages, all the settings, what to do. So again, I'm saving it here. I'm saving the design to the cloud. Select the default mat. Hit confirm. You're just going through page by page, and here is the little ghost. Again, tap where it says mirror off because we still are using iron-on vinyl. We need to toggle that on. Hit close. Go on to the next page. You're going to do the same things as usual, selecting your material, all of that, okay? Super easy. So tap all materials. You can tap in where it says iron-on, and you can even bookmark. If you use a lot of iron-on vinyl, you can bookmark it also when you select it there. There's like a little tag icon to the right side of the name of the material where you can tap that, and that way you don't have to search for it every time. So I didn't have any scrap pieces of white iron-on vinyl, but I'm using this, it's a brand new roll that I have of HTV Ront white iron-on vinyl. So this is their heat transfer vinyl, or iron-on. You can often hear by both names. And I'm just roughly cutting using the boxes on my cutting mat here so that I get a piece that's big enough. Peel off the carrier sheet, put your iron-on shiny side down onto the mat, smooth it out so you have no air bubbles, and then feed it into the machine so you can get it all loaded up. So we open it, slide it in. Once it pulls it and it pulls the mat in straight, you know you're good to go to move on to the next step. So that looks good. In the app, I'm going to move on to the next step here. Everything looks good. Pressure set to default. Mirror is on, and we can just press go. And as usual, you want to start from a corner, right? Because everything that's to the outside of the ghost is the parts of the vinyl we don't want. So peel away everything to the outside and then make sure to look to see where the lines are for the eyes and the mouth so that you weed the correct parts of it instead of, mistakenly messing up your design, which often happens to all of us. Peel off the design, put the carrier sheet back on. Let's go ahead and grab our ironing board with the new pot holder. Flip this and look at that. It's going to fit perfectly right there. Now this is an HTV Ront iron-on vinyl, which calls for warming up the surface that you're going to apply the material onto first. This is why it's important to read all the manufacturer's instructions of any products you're using. Then it tells me to stick it on. And I think the temperature for this was like 302 degrees it called for. And the little press only goes in increments of 5 degrees. So I just left it at 305 for the 20 seconds. And this one actually peels off cold. So you got to be careful. Once your time is up and you've allotted the 20 seconds of heat, let it cool. Give it about 15 to 30 seconds until it's barely warm. And that means that it's cooled enough, and then you can pull away the carrier sheet. So you can see how beautifully that is pulling off, and that looks great. All right, I hope you enjoyed learning how to use a Cricut Joy and Cricut Design Space to cut out these designs from your iron-on vinyl. If you give this easy project a try, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you tomorrow with another Spooky Craft Week tutorial.